brought to you by Michelob ULTRA, which is the official beer sponsor of the NBA, my favorite sport. Win or lose, you're bound to enjoy the ride with a good beer in hand, and Michelob ULTRA is good beer. It's crisp, it's light, it's refreshing. Only 95 calories, so order yourself an Ultra six-pack while we unpack 6 major things going on in the world of basketball and in sports right now. I'm going to start with the NBA Finals. You think I'm going to start with Porzingis, and I'm not. We're going to talk about Porzingis later with Chris Mannix. I'm going to start with the concept of identity, because the Celtics, who were like minus 220 to win the finals, heading into the finals against Dallas, even though the matchups were super favorable for them. And if you watch the first 2 games, they won both games, even though they shot the ball terribly in game 2, and they just look like they're a better team. Now with Porzingis, maybe that'll even it out. But people had an issue picking them to win the finals, and a lot of, especially national media people, gravitated toward Luka because the Luka framework made sense, right? It's a star. Stars win finals. Best player in the series usually wins the finals. But really, having the best player in a series is an identity thing. And I was thinking about, sometimes there's years where the identity of a team is the star, not the actual star, right? So going backwards, I did everything before the merger. I was looking at this. The 1979 Seattle Sonics, during the stretch when Bill Walton should have won 4 straight titles and he didn't. But they didn't really totally have a best player. Like Dennis Johnson won finals MVP, but really their guards were the star. It was Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson, and they had size. So they had things that made sense, but they didn't make sense in the traditional, we have a big star sense. Then you go to the 1989 Pistons. Isaiah is clearly the best player on the team. But that wasn't a star-driven title either, because that's one of the best defensive teams of all time. And that team was like a Swiss Army knife. They could go big, they could go small. That was their identity. That's why they won the title. 2004 Detroit, same thing. Defense, top 5 guys played perfectly together. And, you know, we weren't in 2004, like with Tatum and Brown, you know, Jason Kidd tries to nudge that whole thing before game 2. And it's like, I think Jaylen Brown's the best player on the team. Everybody gets all fired up about, oh my God, whoa, look at the head games. Well, wait, is Jaylen Brown the best player on the team? And the point is, it doesn't effing matter, because the 2004 Pistons, we didn't know who their best player was. I still don't really know. Probably if I had to pick, Ben Wallace that year was probably their best player, but ultimately it didn't matter. And you know what we weren't doing in 2004? Having arguments about who is the best player in the Pistons over, wow, look at the Pistons. They're killing the Lakers right now, which is what they did. So this is a relatively modern thing where we have to argue about this stuff. 2006 Miami, that was a more fun argument because Shaq was still the best center in the league, but it was becoming Wade's team. And then in the finals, Wade just grabbed the car keys and he grabbed the steering wheel and he's like, I'm going to take us home, guys. And he was clearly their best player by the end of the finals, but we didn't know that heading into the finals. 2008 Celtics always had a Pierce or Garnett thing, where Garnett was the best player in the team. Pierce beat LeBron in a game 7, younger LeBron, but still, and went toe-to-toe with Kobe in the finals and was a better player and won the finals MVP. I think KG was the best player on that team. The point is, and you, by the way, could have made a case Ray Allen could have won finals MVP, but nobody really cared. The point was they were awesome regular season, awesome team, and they won the whole thing. It was the identity of the big 3, the fact that they could play big, they could play small, they were deep, and that was what it was. 2009 Lakers, we argued that whole year about Power Kobe, who's their best player. And honestly, I still don't know. I'm kidding. I just wanted to make sure the Laker fans are still listening. Kobe was the best player. They don't qualify for this. 2014 Spurs is a great one because that's old Duncan. Duncan was their best player. And in 2013, I still feel like he was, even though Parker kind of was. 2014, you know, Kawhi won finals MVP, but Kawhi, Parker, older Tim Duncan, really you could have made a case for anybody. The real reason they won was their offense was just beautiful, the movement. And they had the perfect guy to guard LeBron in a season where that team, you know, was that Miami team was kind of fading and becoming a different thing. And then you look at 2024, if it is the Celtics that win the title, what's the identity of the team? So who's the best player? The identity is the Jays. It's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown together. That's, if you're going to compare them to some of these other teams, that's their identity. It's having those 2 guys. And then on top of it, having this incredible high-end depth with Holiday, with Porzingis, with Derek White, even with Horford as a sixth man. And they probably have 5 of the top 50 guys in the league, plus Horford, plus some shooting. And that's why if they win, that's why they're going to win. And the point is, it doesn't really matter who the best player was. This is stuff for people like me to talk about and get talk segments out of. Oh, who's the best player? So they coming up on first take. Doesn't matter. Winning the title is what matters. And if they win, it's because of the Jays. So that's their identity. And that's all we should be talking about. That's my first thing for the 6-pack. Second one is a little NBA related. And it's a quickie. But, Warner feels like they've blown the basketball package, which I've been telling you now about for 5 weeks. And then people start reporting it after the fact. It's not done yet. We'll see. They might create a 4th package for them. Do you realize how dumb it is that they don't even have the deal signed for the 3 packages with the people that are giving them over $75 billion for the next 11 years? And because Warner screwed up and had an exclusivity thing, didn't exercise it in time. And from what I heard, and as you know, I have good sources on this stuff. And from what I heard, it came down to a couple of conference finals games. A few. Let's call it a few conference finals games. Not per year, just a couple, a few over the course of 11 years. And that became a deal breaker as they headed to the end of the exclusivity period. And David Zaslav, who runs Warner, was basically like, all right, we'll take it in the open market then. I don't know if he said that specifically, but if you let the exclusivity window close, you don't get basketball, you don't have a deal, then other people are allowed to bid, and they didn't see NBC coming. And guess what? They screwed it up. Unless they didn't want basketball along, which is possible, but I don't think it's possible because for the next few weeks, they kept floating out, no, we might match. We're looking at the Amazon. The lawyers are going to be involved. And now it's either 2 options that seem to be sitting out there. One is that they're going to try to match a lesser offer, the Amazon thing. No way. The second one is, they actually might create a 4th package for us. That's not happening either. Because guess who's not going to want that? The other 3 partners who are paying all this money for exactly what is laid out in their deals. So now it's like, what happens? Are you going to sue? That's really what you're going to do. They're like the spurn lover who won't move their stuff out of the apartment, Warner. And guess what, guys? Get some boxes. It's time. You don't want to have the spurn lover syndrome. And if they don't figure this out soon, I think it becomes damaging potentially for the person who is running the entire company. Because at some point you have to have some confidence in who's running it. And if that person not only blew a deal with basketball, but then is trying to hang on the ledge. Oh, don't let me off, please. Not great. I would let this one go, move on. They did the French Open thing, do a lot of smaller deals, and just admit that this basketball thing didn't work out. Next one, third thing, just a random soccer idea. With apologies to Kevin Wilds, it's a half-baked idea. I don't know if you saw Team USA get their butts kicked by Colombia the other day. Well, I was thinking about how my entire life people have been saying that soccer was going to take off and that America was going to be good and sport of the future here and we're going to have all these people, and it just hasn't happened. And now I'm heading toward my mid-50s here and it feels like we're further away than we were 10, 12 years ago, even though we have guys like Pulisic. It's probably not happening. I think it's time, instead of thinking about, do we invest in stuff, the younger academies, all that stuff, maybe we need a change in PR. And I was throwing this by Cerruti and he thought it was funny. So I'm just going to introduce this theory here. Maybe they need to start going after 5-star running backs, basically from like 8th grade on in football, and just lay out the actual financial situation of running backs in the 2020s. Because like, let's say you become Saquon Barkley. You're one of the best talents at running back in a long time. What does that mean financially? Like Saquon Barkley, the Giants wouldn't even pay him. He ended up going to the Eagles for like 11, 12 million a year. If Saquon Barkley was an awesome soccer player, could he make what he's going to make in his entire NFL career in like 3 Premier League seasons? They need to market, hey guys, there's way more money in soccer, way more, not to mention all the ancillary damage from football, but just show all the running back ages. Show when running backs' careers are over at 27, 28, 29. In soccer, you keep playing. Just come to the MLS when you're 39, you're washed up. You'll make another $20 million a year. This is now a PR campaign, and I think soccer should look into it. That's my half-baked idea to save U.S. soccer. All right. Fourth thing, we got to talk about the Caitlin Clark content frenzy, which I've tried to stay away from, but I've been just amazingly amused by everything that's happened with it. And why am I amused, right? What's amusing about this? It's amusing because there's an old saying about when people wrote hit pieces in magazines or newspapers or blog posts that when they really went after somebody, it often said more about the writer than it did about the person that they were doing the hit piece on, right? Are they resentful? Are they jealous? What's their purpose? They're trying to get attention for themselves. This Caitlin Clark story, whatever prism you view sports through, whatever prism you view your own career through, what you want out of it, what kind of content you want to get day to day, week to week out of it, it's just perfect. Do you want to make this a story about race? Voila, here it is. Do you want to make it a story about older ex-players resenting the new class of star? Boom, sitting right there. Do you want to make it about favoritism? You could do that too. Did she deserve to make the Olympic team? No, she's not one of the 12 best players. So why is she on it? Do you want to make it about this is the fault of why we can't grow women's basketball, especially at the Olympics, which was a case Christine Brennan made. This is the most successful Olympic team that probably in any sport for it. They're going for their 8th gold and nobody's cared because they just kill everybody. So we actually needed Caitlin to trumpet how good this team is. You could do that thing. You could do any sort of media beef you'd want to start. We saw it today. Stephen A. got mad at Peter Rosenberg about something he said on a radio show and did an emergency YouTube clip on it. We've seen infighting with the media. It's like, oh, great. We all get to roll up our sleeves and just go at each other over this Caitlin Clark thing. We've seen reverse racism. I won't name the sites, but there's a couple of them that are trying to turn this into a sports helter-skelter. That we've seen the plight of women's sports and all of those stories, because here's the WNBA doing the best it's ever done from a rating standpoint, from an attendance standpoint. It's really on the way up. And you could argue Caitlin and a couple other reasons for it. But the way people have talked about it, nobody likes that either. So that's another subplot. We have the ratings. People, there's like a ratings porn contingent out there talking about how great the ratings have been. What does this mean? Is this all Caitlin? Is she getting enough credit for what she does with the league? And then you have the ex-players. I always enjoy that. And the older current players lobbing shots. You had some incidents on the court and everybody just lost their mind every time anything happened. And it was weird because let's go back to the part where it was just kind of fun to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball and see how she was going to do as a rookie in this league. And instead, it just had to become about all these big issues and just people. Everybody's like, oh, is it time for my 15 minutes? I thought it was ridiculous. You could argue, has started more beefs and more conflicts between people without intending to do anything. All she's doing is trying to play basketball, but it's almost turning into like, this is like a hip hop story. But the part that got super weird, I thought, was the Olympics, because on the surface, yeah, she should be in the Olympic team because people like Caitlin Clark and it's fun to watch her. But there's a bigger picture thing with the Olympics that I think people missed. They just picked all the best players. Like, you go look at the team they had, right? They have all the ages of the players are between 26 and 33. Griner's 33, and then Taurasi's 42. So she's the outlier, and she has to be on the team because she's going for 6 gold medals, and you have to have that. But it's a team where they just said, we don't want to F around. We just want to keep winning the gold medal. We're not trying to accomplish. We're not trying to grow the game. We're just trying to kick everybody's butts. And they have. Here are the scores for the last 4 gold medal games. They won by 21. They won by 29. They won by 26. They won by 27. Putting her on this team when she was like 4 or 5 years younger than every other good player, first of all, who are you bumping? Second of all, she's going to be the only young player you have. To me, this is a failure of vision because, and I would say this about the men's team too. The men's team, Bam, Booker, Tatum, Edwards, Halliburton, even Anthony Davis. Embiid's not 30 yet. And then the older guys are LeBron and Kawhi and Durant, Curry and Drew. You don't need 12 players on a team like this. You need 9 or 10, and then you need 2 happy to be there people. And this is what we figured out all those years ago in the Dream Team when crazy Leitner gets it over Shaq, which is, we're not going to litigate that here, but Leitner was one of the best college players of all time. Shaq was one of the best center prospects of all time. If you had to do it over again, maybe put both of them on. But for a while there, they tried to have youth on the team. And now they've just gravitated toward, we never want to lose the gold medal. We're just going to kick ass. And I think I agree with it. But I think if I was a sports star, I'm never going to get elected. I'm going to give up the dream. I would want a team of like maybe 9 hardcore all-stars, best players in their primes, peaks, or heading toward their peaks. So like everyone from Edwards to Tatum to Booker, and probably Curry's at the tail end of that. Then you want the one older star going for one last gold medal. So maybe in this case, that's LeBron. And then I would want the 2 young players. I'd want 2 people, like somebody like Chet, put him on the team, get him the experience. It's going to make him amazing. He's not going to care if he plays anyway, right? Or even Paolo, who was on the last USA team. But if you told me we had Paolo and Chet as the 2 young guys, great. That's amazing. What an awesome experience for those guys because they're not going to play anyway because you need 9 or 10 guys to win. And I think you can make the same case with the women's team. Maybe the mistake was you take 9, Taurasi's the old lion as the 10th, and then you go super young with the other 2. You have Caitlin, and then you also have Juju Watkins. You have Cameron Brink, whatever you want to do. But those last 2 spots, which are a little ceremonial for the most part, and then that allows Caitlin on the team. The other piece of this, which I think people are missing, and I would call this the Tim Tebow theory, which rarely happens, but when somebody is such a big star, it almost becomes not worth it to have them involved on your team unless they're just going to play all the time. And I say Tim Tebow because there was a summer, I think it was summer of 2013, the Patriots signed Tim Tebow as a backup quarterback. Super exciting. I was all in. It was like, this sounds great. It's perfect Belichick player. We'll play him at tight end, 3rd QB. We'll run some goal line stuff for him. It'll be awesome. Well, what happened? The first couple of practices, all anyone cared about was Tim Tebow. It was like, you going to play Tebow? Where's Tebow? You going to play Tebow? And guess what Belichick did? After, I don't remember how long it was. He was like, F this, and just waved Tebow. It's like, I want no part of this. The ensuing hullabaloo day to day over Tebow just made it not worth it to have Tebow. There were teams afraid of the hullabaloo, which was the reason they stayed away. There were other reasons too, as we've covered many times on a bunch of different Ringer podcasts. But when that hullabaloo becomes too big, you better really feel good about the player. And I think with the Olympic team, to have Caitlin on the team, which everyone's like, how is she not on the team? She's going to grow the game. Well, guess what happens? You go to the Olympics and then it all becomes, is Caitlin going to play? Why is she playing? Caitlin only played 4 minutes. Should Caitlin play more? Is Caitlin better than this person? And it turns into a fucking nightmare. They don't want that. So I totally get it. And by the way, she would have been 4 years younger than everyone else on the team. So I get why she didn't make it, but I think it's a failure of construction more than anything else. All right, 2 more things for the 6-pack. I'm in the honeymoon period with Drake Maye, and it's marvelous. It's really great. What I didn't know, I haven't had, I guess this will happen when the Red Sox bring up Marcelo Mayer, although I don't know if I'm ever watching a Red Sox game again. But really with football, I've never had it before because I had the same quarterback for the entire time the internet existed, basically. with Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady for, into the 2020s. The little pieces every day I've really enjoyed. Like there was stuff yesterday about Drake May playing dodgeball. I watched multiple clips of Drake May playing dodgeball. I've watched him in mini camps. I've watched his like little 40-yard throws or short throws. I've watched videos about people that think he doesn't have as fast of a release as Jaden Daniels doing side-by-side minicamp videos. It's really great, but for the most part, it's fun as hell. And all it is ceiling and upside and happiness, and there's no downside yet at all. It's basically like having a rookie quarterback with social media in 2024 is the Instagram filter effect, where, like if you have kids or you have kids that, they're friends, and they'll take this picture, and then by the time it's done on Instagram, they look like Cindy Crawford crossed with name a model from now. This is what the Drake May honeymoon period is. Everything just looks great. He looks magnificent. I wish we could just kind of freeze it right here, because I know there's going to be a game, especially if he starts, where in the first year where he'll be terrible and like, oh my God, it's Drake May good. Right now, I feel like he's going to be the best quarterback of all time because I am in the honeymoon period with Drake May. All right. Last but not least, the Lakers. So we talked Conspiracy Bill. I know you saw Conspiracy Bill on Sunday's podcast, who's very suspicious of the JJ Redick and just the Lakers audibling from JJ Redick out of nowhere to the UConn coach, Dan Hurley. And the reports were being broken by Adrian Wojnarowski, who once wrote a book about the Hurleys, and just it never smelled right to me. And it seemed like everybody was benefiting from the story being a story, but not the results of the story, which the results of the story technically were, oh my God, they actually hired Dan Hurley. And yet wasn't talking to anybody who ever believed they were going to hire him. So it's like, all right, who gains from this? Well, the Lakers gain from this because they're obviously trying to cut the price down on JJ, or they obviously don't like any of the other candidates. And, maybe they half sincerely were trying to go for this. Hurley gains for this because now UConn's like, oh my God, we might lose him. And even though he just signed an extension, he can make more money. And then Woj gains from it because he's in this blood feud with Shams. And Shams had reported the Lakers were about to hire JJ. So now it's like, well, actually, no, they tried to hire Danny Hurley. Here's where it really fell apart for me. They offered him 6 years, $70 million, which would have made him like the sixth highest paid coach. If you're going to actually try to hire somebody who just won 2 straight championships in a climate where the 5 best coaches in the league are all making 8 figures a year, let's just say this: it wasn't a Godfather offer. It was like what was Tom Hayden? It was a conciliary offer. It wasn't a Godfather offer. They basically offered Tom Hagen money for Dan Hurley, and it wasn't gonna be enough. I thought I had heard, and apparently I had the wrong information, but I heard it was triple figures, and it just wasn't. If 7 years for 120, now he's got to really figure out if he wants to take the job. But then something weird happened after. There was some discourse about, well, the Lakers are a family business. They don't really splurge like that. Family business was used a bunch of times. That was a big offer for them. They're a family business. I just gotta cry bullshit on this one. First of all, they paid the luxury tax more than any other team in the league. So we'll start there. Second of all, the Buss family owns 66% of the team. And then the other half, whatever third, is somebody owns a minority stake of that. And then there's some other partners. So if they were really hurting for money, with the way the franchise values of these teams are now, the Lakers, I would say, if they're going to get $5 billion for the expansion teams, $4.5 billion, $5 billion each, it's going rate. Phoenix is going to be worth over $4 billion. The Lakers are the most important franchise in the league from a value standpoint. So they're a $7 billion team, let's say. I think that's reasonable. And you can't run the day-to-day because you're a family business. You could probably sell 5% of your business at a $6 billion valuation and make so much money that you could then kind of nudge that toward the team, would be my guess. I don't believe the family business thing. I don't think they ever really wanted to hire Dan Hurley. I just don't believe the story. I think it's I think it was a strategic play to try to drop the price on somebody they liked, would be my guess. But please don't call the Lakers a family business. There's nobody a family business. And by the way, the other thing with the expansion stuff, because now the media deal is going to be done, and I think what happens is the league probably just names the price, which they did with WNBA. They had the expansion teams, and it basically the price. This was last year. It was $50 million for the San Francisco team and the Portland team, which backed out, and then the Toronto team just ended up. The Toronto ownership team just ended up getting it. I think they're just going to say, "Here's the price. It's $4.5 billion each. It's $5 billion each, and it's going to be Seattle and Vegas. And can you hit the price?" So when you think about the numbers in those contexts, I'm pretty sure the Lakers could have afforded Dan Hurley. I'm almost positive, which makes me think they didn't 100% want to hire Dan Hurley. Yeah, we really like him. Oh, we flew out to see him once. Here's an offer. Anyway, that's my superior take. The Lakers, you're not a family business. You have more money to spend than just about anybody, and you have the best franchise, and you're probably in the best market for where athletes want to live and where you can get the highest tickets, and I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying any of it. That was today's 6 major things. Remember, get yourself a 6-pack of Michelob ULTRA, a superior light beer, an official beer sponsor of the National Basketball Association. It's refreshing, crisp, only 95 calories.